A war is burning across the world, but deep in the mountains of Montana, another war is about to begin. One that will decide the future of the most powerful ranch in America. What if everything you thought you knew about the Dutton family was only the result of one brutal year in their history? One year that changed them forever. 1944. In this moment, the world is not stable anymore. Soldiers are leaving their homes, families are breaking apart, and fear is everywhere. But while America is fighting overseas, something very different is happening on the land that will one day become the Yellowstone Ranch. This is not the peaceful open land we see in modern stories. This is a place where survival is not guaranteed, and every decision can mean life or death. The Dutton family stands at the center of it all. They are not yet the strong, untouchable force we know from the future. They are building that power step by step, fighting against nature, against people who want their land, and against a changing world that does not care about tradition anymore. Every member of the family is being pushed to their limits. Every belief they once had is being tested. And in the middle of this chaos, something even more dangerous is forming, a shift inside the family itself. Because when the world becomes unstable, people do not always stand together. Sometimes they break apart. Sometimes they make choices that cannot be taken back. And sometimes those choices shape generations that come long after. This is where the story of Yellowstone 1944 begins. Not with peace, not with comfort, but with pressure. A pressure so strong that even the strongest bloodline in Montana starts to crack. Now imagine the land itself. Wide, silent, and unforgiving. The same land that later becomes a symbol of power is here still wild and uncontrolled. But even land like this does not stay untouched forever. People are coming for it. Companies are circling it. And war has made everything more valuable and more dangerous at the same time. The Duttons are not just protecting property anymore, they are protecting their future. And as the storm grows stronger, one question rises above everything else. How far will the Dutton family go to survive this year? Because in 1944, survival is not clean. It is not fair. And it is never without consequences. This is only the beginning of a story that will reveal how a legacy is truly built, not through victory alone, but through sacrifice, loss, and decisions that can never be undone. The world is watching a war overseas, but the real war for the Duttons is just beginning at home. And what happens next will define everything that Yellowstone becomes. The year is 1944, and the world is deep inside a global war that is changing every country, every family, and every future. Young men are being sent far away to fight battles they may never return from, and the land back home is left under pressure, fear, and uncertainty. In America, cities are focused on war production, but in places like Montana, life still depends on land, weather, and survival. This is where the Dutton story takes a different shape, because while the world is focused on the battlefield overseas, another kind of battle is building quietly on American soil. In the Montana territory, the land is still rough, wide, and mostly untamed. It is not yet the controlled empire people later recognize in the Yellowstone timeline. Ranchers are struggling to keep their livestock alive, supply chains are unstable, and money is tighter than ever. Everything feels uncertain. Even the strongest families are forced to make difficult choices just to survive another season. The Dutton Ranch stands in the middle of this struggle, carrying both responsibility and pressure that continues to grow with each passing day. The war has created a strange shift in power. With many men gone, responsibilities fall on those who remain. Women, older family members, and young heirs are forced to take roles they were never prepared for. This creates tension inside households, especially in families that depend on tradition and structure. The Dutton family, known for its strong control over land and leadership, now faces a situation where control itself feels harder to maintain. Every decision becomes more critical, and every mistake feels heavier than before. Outside forces are also becoming more active. Land that was once ignored is now suddenly valuable again. Government changes, economic pressure, and shifting ownership laws create opportunities for powerful outsiders to move in. This makes ranch land in Montana more than just property. It becomes a target. The Duttons are forced to think differently. not just as ranchers, but as protectors of something that others are starting to see as an opportunity for profit or expansion. Trust becomes rare, and suspicion begins to grow even between neighbors who once worked side by side. Inside the Dutton family itself, the pressure of the world begins to shape character and identity. The younger generation is not growing up in peace or stability. They're growing up in a world where sacrifice is normal and loss is expected. This changes how they see leadership, loyalty, and survival. Some begin to believe that strength means holding on no matter what. Others start questioning whether holding on is worth the cost. These differences slowly create emotional distance within the family, even if no one openly admits it. As 1944 continues, the ranch becomes more than just a home. It becomes a test of endurance. Every storm, every financial struggle, and every outside threat adds another layer of pressure. The land itself feels like it is demanding something in return for being protected. And the Duttons, whether they want to or not, are being shaped by that demand. They are learning that survival is not only about strength, but also about sacrifice, adaptation, and sometimes painful compromise. This period marks a silent transformation. The foundation of what will later become a powerful legacy is being built under stress, fear, and constant uncertainty. Nothing is stable, but everything is being decided. And in this unstable world of 1944, the Dutton family is slowly becoming something new, something harder, and something that will echo through generations to come. Inside the Dutton family during 1944, pressure does not only come from the outside world. The real struggle begins within the bloodline itself. This is a time when survival is no longer just about land or money, but about identity, responsibility, and what kind of future the family is willing to build. Every member of the Dutton line is being shaped by the weight of a world that refuses to stay stable. And in this shaping, cracks begin to appear that will later define the entire Yellowstone legacy. The older generation carries the burden of tradition. They believe the land must be protected at any cost, even if it means making harsh decisions that others may not understand. For them, the ranch is not just property, it is identity itself. Losing it would mean losing everything their family has fought for. This belief makes them strong, but also rigid. They are unwilling to adapt easily to a world that is changing fast around them. That resistance creates tension, especially when survival demands flexibility instead of pride. The younger generation sees the same world differently. They are growing up during war, fear, and uncertainty. They do not have the comfort of stability that previous generations once knew. Because of this, they begin to question methods, choices, and even the cost of holding on to land in such a dangerous time. Some of them feel that survival may require compromise, even if it means changing the way things have always been done. Others feel trapped between loyalty to family and the need to think about their own future. This difference in thinking slowly builds emotional distance inside the family. Conversations become heavier, decisions take longer, trust is tested even if no one says it openly. The Dutton name still holds respect, but inside the home, that respect is under pressure. Every argument is not just about present problems, but about what kind of legacy should continue after the war ends. And in a time where the world itself is uncertain, even small disagreements can feel like major turning points. At the same time, outside threats make everything more intense. There are people who see the chaos of war as an opportunity. Land that was once too remote or too difficult to claim is now being watched carefully. Some outsiders believe that families like the Duttons will not survive this pressure forever, and that when they fall, the land will be available for control. This creates a silent tension in every interaction outside the ranch. Every deal, every conversation, and every agreement carries hidden risk. Within the Dutton household, leadership becomes a difficult responsibility. The ones who lead are forced to make choices that may protect the land but hurt relationships. Sacrifices are no longer theoretical. They are real, immediate, and often painful. There are moments where family loyalty is tested against survival itself. And in those moments, decisions are made that cannot be undone. These decisions do not break the family instantly, but they begin to shape its future in quiet, lasting ways. Fear also plays a hidden role in this transformation. Fear of losing land, fear of losing sons to war, fear of economic collapse, and fear of betrayal all begin to mix together. This emotional pressure does not always show on the surface, but it influences every action. People begin to think more defensively, speak less openly, and trust more carefully. The family that once may have acted as one unit starts to function more like individuals trying to protect their own corner of survival. Even moments of unity feel different now. They are shorter, more fragile, and often followed by silence. Joy becomes rare, replaced by responsibility. The idea of a peaceful future feels distant, almost unreal. Instead, every day is focused on getting through the present without losing what matters most. But what matters most is no longer agreed upon by everyone, and that difference becomes the silent conflict running through the entire family structure. By the end of this period, the Dutton family is still standing, but not unchanged. Their strength is still visible, but it now carries weight. Their unity still exists, but it is under strain. And their legacy, which once felt certain, is now being rewritten by choices made under pressure. This is how a family begins to transform without even realizing it, slowly, bluntly, and permanently, until it becomes something stronger, but also far more complex than before. The visual tone of the 1944 Yellowstone world carries a heavy, grounded realism that feels completely different from the modern version of the ranch. Everything is darker, colder, and more worn down by time and struggle. The land is still wide and beautiful, but it no longer feels peaceful. It feels lived in, tested, and under constant pressure. Every frame of the imagined trailer reflects a world where survival is not a choice, but a daily condition. One of the most striking elements in the trailer breakdown is the presence of war influence reaching back home. Soldiers returning or preparing to leave create emotional tension in almost every scene. The ranch is no longer isolated from the outside world. Instead, it is directly affected by global events. There are glimpses of uniforms, letters arriving from distant battlefields, and silent family moments where news of loss or uncertainty changes everything without warning. These small details shape the emotional core of the story, showing that the war is not just overseas. It is inside every home, including the Duttons. The ranch itself appears in a more fragile state than what fans are used to seeing in later timelines. Fences are older, equipment looks limited, and daily work feels heavier. There is a sense that every part of the land requires constant effort just to maintain. Nothing is stable or guaranteed. Even the livestock scenes feel more intense, as if one bad season or one wrong decision could collapse everything. This creates a visual message that the ranch is still being fought for, not yet fully secured as an empire. Another important aspect of the trailer's imagined structure is the emotional conflict within the family. There are scenes of silence between relatives, moments where words are not spoken, but deeply felt. Instead of large, dramatic confrontations, the tension is often shown through distance, hesitation, and expression. A glance that lasts too long, a door closing without conversation, or a table where fewer voices are willing to speak. These quiet moments carry more weight than action, showing that the real battle is internal. At the same time, outside conflict is slowly becoming more visible. Land disputes are hinted at through conversations and confrontations that feel controlled but dangerous. People are no longer just neighbors, they are potential rivals. The trailer suggests that trust is becoming rare, and every agreement carries hidden pressure. There is an underlying sense that everyone is waiting for the war to end so they can move on the land left behind. And the Duttons are standing directly in the middle of that uncertainty. The emotional tone of the trailer is built on contrast. On one side, there is the harsh reality of survival: dust, weather, labor, and pressure. On the other side, there are brief moments of human connection, family gatherings, shared memories, and quiet reflections. These moments are rare but important because they show what is at stake. Every time the family comes together, it feels temporary, as if the world outside might break it apart at any moment. The pacing of the trailer also reflects instability. It does not stay calm for long. It moves between stillness and sudden intensity, suggesting that life in 1944 is unpredictable. One moment can feel almost peaceful, and the next can bring news or conflict that changes everything. This rhythm creates a sense of constant alertness, as if no character is ever fully safe from what might come next. Even the land itself feels like a character in the story. Wide open fields are shown not just as scenery, but as something valuable and contested. The mountains and plains are no longer just background. They represent power, future, and survival. Every shot of the landscape carries meaning, suggesting that whoever controls the land controls destiny. This idea sits at the center of every visual moment in the trailer. Overall, the trailer breakdown reveals a world built on tension, endurance, and emotional weight. It is not focused on spectacle alone, but on the slow pressure of life during a time when everything is uncertain. The Dutton family exists inside this pressure, trying to hold on to identity while the world around them continues to shift.